Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I want to start today by putting you, the listener, into a very specific situation.
Okay, set the scene for us.
And it is a very relatable one, I promise. So, it's a Tuesday night.
The worst night of the week.
Exactly. You have had a long day at work. Maybe you grab some takeout on the way home and you flop onto the couch,
Exhausted.
utterly exhausted. You
Huh.
grab the remote and you aren't looking for anything specific.
Right, you don't have the mental energy to commit to a 3-hour movie.
Or start some complex new prestige drama series where you have to remember a dozen characters. You just want TV.
The modern version of channel surfing, that classic lean-back experience.
Right, just let it wash over you. So you open up your smart TV, maybe it's a Samsung, maybe an LG, or you're using a Roku stick,
Sure.
and you click that little tile that says Live TV,
Yeah.
and suddenly you are looking at a grid.
The classic program guide.
It looks exactly like the cable guide we all grew up with. But when you start scrolling down, the channels are they're different.
Different how? Like public access, different.
No, not like that. They look highly professional.
Yeah.
But the content is incredibly niche. There is a channel playing literally nothing but reruns of Baywatch 24 hours a day.
A classic.
There's another channel dedicated entirely to competitive BBQ grilling.
I've actually watched that one.
See, and then there's a news channel you have never even heard of, but it looks incredibly slick, high definition, totally legit.
So you settle on something familiar.
Yeah, you settle on a channel showing classic 90s music videos. And it feels like TV. It has a set schedule, it has commercial breaks, it flows linearly.
But here is the massive catch.
Here's the catch. There is no broadcast tower involved in what you were watching.
None at all.
There is no satellite dish beaming this signal down from space to a receiver on your roof. There isn't even a guy sitting in a basement master control room pushing play on a tape deck.
No. In fact, that entire experience, the video, the audio, the graphics, the commercial breaks, it effectively exists just as lines of code running on a server farm somewhere.
And that is exactly the mystery we are unpacking today. We are doing a deep dive into the invisible engine that makes this entirely new era of television possible.
And we're talking about a company called Amagi Media Labs.
Right. Now, be honest, if you aren't in the industry, have you ever heard of Amagi?
If you are outside of the B2B media tech world, probably not. I mean, they aren't a household name.
But here's the reality. If you have watched the Paris Olympics or the Premier League or a UEFA tournament.
Or even a U.S. presidential debate in the last couple of years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
If you've watched any of that, you have almost certainly engaged with their technology.
The stats we pulled for this research are, frankly, staggering.
They really are.
Yeah.
As of early 2026, Amagi is trusted by 45% of the top 50 listed media and entertainment companies globally.
45%.
Almost half of the biggest players on Earth. We aren't talking about obscure YouTubers here.
Yeah.
We are talking about the absolute giants of Hollywood and global sports.
They have quietly become the backbone of the entire industry. They basically took a hardware industry television and turned it into a software industry.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how they pulled that off.
Because it wasn't easy.
No. How do you take a TV station, which used to be a physical building filled with millions of dollars of hardware, and turn it into code?
We need to look at the tech, obviously.
And the business model, which is fascinating, plus what this means for the future of what we even call broadcasting.
It is a classic pick and shovel story. You know, everyone else is out there digging for gold, trying to make the next hit show.
And Amagi is just selling the shovels.
Exactly, and business is very good.
Let's start with the context, because to understand why Amagi is such a huge deal, we really have to understand the world before Amagi existed.
The dark ages of broadcasting.
Right. The sources we have refer to this as the heavy iron era.
Heavy iron. It sounds so industrial, doesn't it?
It really does. So paint the picture for us. If I wanted to launch a TV channel in, say, 2005 or even 2010, what was I up against?
You were up against physics and finance. Mostly finance.
Okay, walk me through it.
If you wanted to launch a TV channel in the heavy iron era, you weren't launching a startup. You were building a factory.
A factory.
Yes. First, you needed physical real estate. You needed a master control room.
Describe that room for someone who has never been in one.
Picture a windowless bunker, usually in the sub-basement of a media building.
Sounds cozy.
It's not. It is freezing cold because of the massive industrial air conditioning needed to keep the machines from overheating.
Because it's just packed with gear.
packed wall to wall. You have racks of servers, playout automation hardware, graphics generators, massive audio processors, routers, and physical switchers.
And I'm assuming none of this gear is cheap.
Oh, not at all. We are talking about massive capital expenditure, CapEx. You had to spend millions of dollars just to buy the hardware before you ever aired a single second of video.
That is a terrifying amount of upfront risk. What if your channel concept fails in 6 months?
Too bad. You still own $2 million worth of highly specific, quickly depreciating metal sitting in a basement.
So the risk was entirely front-loaded.
Oh.
You basically had to be rich just to try to make a channel.
Exactly. It locked out almost everyone. But let's say you did have the money. You bought all the gear, you hired the engineers. Now you have a video signal.
Right, but it's just sitting in my basement.
Exactly. How do you get it to people's houses?
Right.
In the heavy iron era, you needed a satellite.
Which implies dealing with space infrastructure.
Right. You had to lease a transponder slot on a satellite.
Okay, explain a transponder for us.
Think of a broadcast satellite as a flying apartment building in orbit.
Okay.
A transponder is one apartment in that building.
Yeah.
There are only so many apartments available. It is incredibly scarce real estate.
And in economics, scarce means expensive.
Astronomically expensive, pun intended.
Nice one.
And because that space was so limited, the people who own the final connection to the viewer, the cable giants like Comcast, Charter, Sky, they were the ultimate gatekeepers.
It was a completely walled garden.
Exactly. So if you had a great idea for a channel about, I don't know, antique clock repair,
Very niche.
very niche. You take that to the cable company and say, hey, put me on TV.
What do they say?
They would laugh you right out of the room. They would say, look, we only have capacity for maybe 500 channels total. Why on earth would we give a precious slot to your clock show instead of another ESPN network or another HBO?
So the barrier to entry wasn't just millions of dollars. It was literally getting permission from a monopoly.
Precisely. And this context is so vital because it explains why television remained so utterly stagnant for so long.
Right. It was a high-stakes, high-cost environment that actively punished any kind of experimentation.
It favored the giants, and this is exactly where Amagi enters the scene.
They looked at this massive, expensive, gate-kept hardware mess and basically asked a very dangerous question.
Why can't we just do all of this on the internet?
Exactly. The sources call this the structural shift. The move from linear TV, the old cable box, to streaming and connected TV, or CTV.
And Amagi's solution to this shift was to build what they call a glass-to-glass cloud platform.
Now, glass-to-glass sounds a bit like marketing speak. Let's decode that for the listener.
It's actually a very literal, practical description.
Okay.
Think of the first piece of glass as the camera lens that initially captures the video.
Got it.
And think of the second piece of glass as the screen on your television or your iPad.
The display.
Right. Amagi's goal was to handle absolutely everything that happens between those two pieces of glass, but do it entirely in the cloud.
So the ingestion of the video file, the processing, adding the graphics, the ad insertion, the final delivery.
All of it happening on massive servers like AWS or Google Cloud rather than in that freezing cold basement room we talked about.
It's basically the AWS moment for television.
That's the perfect way to phrase it. Just like normal businesses stopped building their own physical server rooms and started renting capacity from the cloud.
TV channels are stopping buying broadcast hardware and just using Amagi's software.
Exactly.
Now, there is a term in our research notes here that seems really critical to understand. The difference between being cloud native and being cloud enabled.
Oh, that is a massive distinction.
Is it? It sounds like splitting hairs.
It's the difference between putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg and actually curing it.
Okay, unpack that for us. What is cloud enabled?
Cloud-enabled is what the legacy broadcast hardware companies tried to do when they panicked and realized the world was moving to the internet.
They tried to adapt.
Poorly. They took their old, clunky software that was originally designed to run on those specific basement servers.
And they just installed it on a remote computer in the cloud.
Exactly. It's called a lift and shift. But the software was still heavy, it was incredibly hard to update, and it didn't really take advantage of what the cloud can actually do.
It's like trying to run Windows 95 on a modern supercomputer. I mean, it works, but it's not exactly efficient.
Right, you aren't using the supercomputer's power.
So what does cloud native mean then?
Cloud native, which is what Amagi is from the ground up, means they wrote the software from scratch specifically to live and operate in a distributed cloud environment.
How does that actually change the tech?
It uses things like microservices. It creates a temporary software container for each specific task, does the job, and then spins down.
Okay, but what does that actually mean in practice for a customer trying to run a TV channel?
One word: scalability. This is the absolute magic word for Amagi.
Give me a scenario.
In the old hardware days, let's say you wanted to launch a pop-up sports channel just for the duration of the World Cup.
So just a 1-month channel.
You couldn't do it. You literally can't lease a satellite transponder or buy $1 million of master control gear for a 30-day pop-up.
The economics make zero sense.
But with Amagi, because it's truly cloud native, you can spin up a fully professional broadcast-grade channel in minutes.
Minutes. You run it for the month of the tournament, and the second the final whistle blows, you click a button and shut it down.
And you stop paying.
Exactly. You only pay for the exact compute time you used. That agility is completely physically impossible with heavy iron.
It fundamentally changes the business model of television. It's not just cheaper, it allows for ideas that couldn't exist before. Hardware is dead, software is king. But I really want to get under the hood here.
Go to it.
What does Amagi actually do on a technical level? If I'm a massive media company and I hire them, what happens? Our research outline breaks their service down into 3 distinct pillars.
Right. The plumbing, the reach, and the cash register.
Let's use their corporate language, just to be accurate. Cloud modernization, streaming unification, and monetization.
Okay, let's start with pillar 1, the plumbing. Cloud modernization.
This seems to center entirely around the concept of playout. We hear that word a lot in this industry, playout.
It's the core function of a channel. But it sounds so simple. Playout. It sounds like pressing play on a Spotify playlist. But I have a feeling it is infinitely more complex than that.
Oh, it is the brain of the entire broadcast. Think about what you actually see when you sit down and watch a specialized TV channel.
Okay.
It is not just one long, continuous video file that someone hit play on.
Oh, it's broken up.
It is a highly complex, real-time assembly of thousands of different digital assets.
Walk me through a single commercial break transition.
Okay, you have the main content playing. Say it's an episode of The Office.
Got it.
As it hits the break, you have to transition seamlessly to a commercial. But before the commercial, maybe there's a station ID bumper.
Right, the little animation saying you're watching the comedy channel.
Exactly, and during the show, you have that little translucent logo bug in the bottom right corner.
Yep.
And maybe a graphic slides in at the bottom left saying, coming up next.
So that's like 5 or 6 different visual and audio elements all fighting for screen space.
And they all have to happen in absolute, perfect, millisecond precision.
Because if they don't...
If there's a black screen for even 3 seconds during a transition, modern viewers think the app is broken and they leave.
They just click away.
Or if the audio levels violently jump up between the sitcom and the car commercial, the viewer gets annoyed.
I hate when that happens.
We all do. In the old days, that freezing room full of expensive machines handled all this syncing. Amagi does this entirely in code.
So their software is just pulling all these disparate files from cloud storage.
Yes, it grabs the video, it grabs the graphics, it stitches them together on the fly, overlays everything perfectly, balances the audio, and outputs a flawless broadcast quality signal.
That is incredibly complex software, and the scale they're doing this at is just wild. The notes say they are the largest cloud-native provider in cloud playout by 2025 revenue.
By a wide margin.
They're managing over 7,000 individual channel deliveries.
7,000. Just pause and imagine the physical warehouse you would need to house the heavy iron equipment to run 7,000 simultaneous TV channels.
It would be the size of an airport.
It would be a city block of servers. Amagi does it on cloud servers that take up a fraction of the space, energy, and manpower.
Okay, so that is pillar 1. You have your beautiful, perfectly synced channel running smoothly in the cloud.
But a channel is completely useless if nobody can actually watch it on their TV.
Right. Which brings us to pillar 2, streaming unification.
Or, as the industry lovingly calls it, the fragmentation nightmare.
The nightmare. This is a huge pain point, right?
It is the biggest headache for content owners today.
Okay, put us in the shoes of a content owner.
Let's say you own the rights to a massive library of classic horror movies.
Great. People love horror.
They do.
Yeah.
And you want people to watch your new Horror Fast channel. But where are the viewers actually sitting?
They are everywhere. I mean, my parents use a Roku. I have an Apple TV. My friend just uses the Samsung TV Plus interface that came with his TV.
Exactly. They're on Roku, Apple, Amazon Prime Video, Samsung, Vizio Watch Free, LG channels, Pluto TV, Tubi. The list goes on and on.
And here is the core problem. every single one of those platforms is a unique technological snowflake.
That's putting it mildly. Roku might demand a highly specific video format and a very particular bit rate.
While Samsung wants something else.
Samsung might require a completely different metadata standard just to list your show in their electronic program guide.
And Vizio.
Vizio might handle closed captioning files in a completely different coding language.
So if I am that horror movie channel owner and I try to do this distribution myself,
You would be spending your entire life and your entire budget just reformatting files. You would need an army of engineers just to manage the daily deliveries to all these different platforms.
it's massive friction. It slows down everything.
Enter Amagi.
Pillar 2, streaming unification.
Right. Amagi essentially acts as the ultimate universal adapter for the streaming world.
So they sit right in the middle between the content and the platform.
Yes. They currently connect over 400 major content brands to over 300 distinct distributors.
300 endpoints.
So you, the horror content owner, you give your master video file to Amagi exactly one time.
Just once.
Once. Their cloud software automatically transcodes it, reformats it, wraps the metadata, and blasts it out to all 300 endpoints in the exact, perfect technical spec that each individual platform demands.
That is huge. I mean, it basically lowers the friction of global distribution down to almost zero.
Which is exactly why we have seen this massive explosion of fast channels recently.
Fast meaning free ad-supported streaming TV.
Right. The reason you can suddenly find a 24-hour competitive grilling channel on your living room TV isn't because grilling just magically became a global phenomenon overnight.
It's because it suddenly became cheap enough to distribute that niche content to millions of screens.
It unlocks the long tail of media. Without Amagi's universal adapter, that channel goes bankrupt trying to format video files for LG and Roku.
Okay, so we have the channel built in the cloud, pillar 1, we have the distribution solved, pillar 2. Now for the most important part, the part that actually pays the bills.
Pillar 3, monetization, the cash register.
Let's talk about Amagi ADS playout, because we really need to distinguish what they are doing from the old way of doing television advertising.
Right, because the old way was incredibly blunt. We call it the spray and pray method.
Spray and pray. Explain how that worked on linear cable TV.
Let's say you were watching a popular drama on regular cable at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Okay.
When it cuts to commercial, literally every single person in the country watching that channel sees the exact same commercial.
Right. It might be an ad for a $50,000 Ford pickup truck.
Exactly. And it didn't matter if you were an 18-year-old college student who takes the subway or an 80-year-old retiree living in an apartment.
Everyone saw the truck.
Which is incredibly inefficient. The advertiser for it is paying massive rates to reach millions of people who have absolutely zero intention or ability to ever buy their product.
Lots of wasted money. And Amagi changes this by utilizing programmatic advertising.
Yes, but more specifically, they enable something called server-side ad insertion, or SSAI.
Server-side ad insertion. Let's break that down, because the server-side part seems to be the secret sauce. Why does that matter so much?
Think about your own experience. Have you ever watched a video on a random news website, and right before the commercial break starts, you get a black screen with a little spinning wheel?
Oh, all the time.
Or the video quality suddenly drops, or the whole page just crashes?
Yes, it's incredibly annoying. It ruins the experience.
That is caused by client-side ad insertion.
Meaning my device is doing the work.
Right. Your phone or your laptop is struggling to load the main video from one server and then simultaneously pinging a totally different ad server and trying to mash them together on your screen.
It's clunky.
Very. Server-side insertion means Amagi's cloud software stitches the targeted ad directly into the main video stream before it ever even leaves the cloud.
Oh, I see.
So by the time the signal reaches your smart TV, it just looks like one continuous single stream of video.
It's totally seamless. No buffering, no spinning wheels.
Exactly like old school TV, but smarter.
Okay, so that's the delivery mechanism. Now the programmatic part. This means the ads are individually targeted to the household.
Correct. This is where the magic trick happens. When your fast channel is coming up on a commercial break, Amagi's software sends out an instant digital signal to a programmatic ad exchange.
What does that signal say?
It basically says, hey, we have a viewer. They are sitting in Chicago. They are watching a high-end cooking show. It is currently 7 p.m. And based on their IP address and some anonymized data, this is likely a high-income household.
And then what happens?
And then in milliseconds, literally faster than you can blink an eye, advertisers all over the world algorithmically bid for that specific slot.
An auction.
A real-time auction. A local luxury car dealer right there in Chicago might bid 5 cents for that impression. A national detergent brand might bid 2 cents.
So the car dealer wins the auction.
The car dealer wins. Amagi stitches their ad into the stream seamlessly, and you, sitting in Chicago, see the luxury car ad.
But, and this is the crazy part, if I am watching the exact same cooking channel at the exact same moment, but I live in London.
You see an ad for a local London tea shop or a British bank? Same channel, same exact second, completely different ads based on who is watching.
It is the total democratization of TV advertising. It allows local or niche advertisers to finally buy television time, which used to be completely impossible for them to afford.
And the sheer volume of this is almost hard to comprehend.
Let's look at the stats. The research says that as of March 2025, Amagi was processing over 26 billion ad impressions annually.
26 billion.
That is a massive, raging river of data and, more importantly, revenue flowing through their pipes every single year.
Which brings us perfectly to their actual business model.
Right. How does Amagi actually extract money from all of this activity? Because they seem to be playing a few different roles here.
They are.
They are a hardcore tech provider, sure, but with ADS-PL US, they're also acting almost like an ad network.
It is a hybrid model, and honestly, it is very cleverly designed. They have structured it to minimize their downside risk while absolutely maximizing their potential upside.
Our notes break their revenue down into 3 main buckets. Let's go through them. Bucket 1.
Bucket 1 is traditional SaaS fees, software as a service.
The bread and butter of the tech world.
Exactly. Media companies pay Amagi a predictable, recurring subscription fee just to have access to the platform and the playout tools.
It's like a company paying monthly for Salesforce or Slack.
Right. And investors absolutely love this because it generates annual recurring revenue, or ARR. It's stable, it keeps the lights on, it pays the engineers' salaries, regardless of how well a channel performs.
Okay, that's bucket 1. Stable SaaS. What is bucket 2?
Bucket 2 is usage-based fees.
Okay, explain that.
Think of this exactly like your home electricity bill or an AWS cloud computing bill. The more you consume, the more you pay.
So if a channel is wildly successful and starts streaming millions of hours of high-definition content, pushing tons of data through Amagi's cloud,
their usage fee goes up. So as the client grows their footprint, Amagi's revenue scales up with them automatically.
makes sense. But bucket 3 is the one that really caught my eye. The sources refer to it as the monetization segment.
I like to call bucket 3 the tax on success.
The tax on success, I love that framing. How does it actually work in practice?
For a lot of their customers, especially in the fast channel space where ad revenue is everything, Amagi doesn't just charge a flat tech fee. They actually take a percentage cut of the ad revenue that their tech helps generate.
Oh, wow. That changes the dynamic of the relationship completely.
It absolutely does. It completely aligns their incentives.
Right, because if Amagi can improve their AI algorithms to serve better, more highly targeted ads.
Or if they can just increase the fill rate, meaning they ensure there are fewer empty, unsold commercial breaks in the stream,
Then the client makes significantly more money.
and Amagi makes more money right alongside them. They stop being just a software vendor, and they truly become a financial partner in the channel's success.
That is brilliant. Okay, so let's do a quick financial health check on the company. We are recording this deep dive in late February 2026.
Right.
For a very long time, Amagi was your classic cash-burning tech startup, just spending millions to build out the infrastructure. Where do they stand today?
They have officially turned the corner. The numbers are very strong. In just the first 9 months of fiscal year 26, they pulled in roughly 1,109 crore in revenue.
Which represents what kind of growth?
That is roughly 30% year-over-year growth, which is fantastic for a company at their current scale.
But the real headline story here isn't just top-line revenue, it's profitability.
Exactly. They are now officially PPAT positive, profit after tax.
And the profit number they reported is roughly 37 crore.
Yes.
Now, to be fair, compared to $1 billion in revenue, 37 in profit seems relatively small. Why is that specific milestone so critically important to understand?
Because it proves they have finally achieved SaaS operating leverage. This is the absolute holy grail for any software business.
Okay, operating leverage. Explain that concept for the listener.
It's easiest to understand by comparing software to a traditional physical business. Let's think about a car company like Ford.
Okay, Ford making trucks.
If Ford wants to sell exactly one more truck, they have to physically buy more steel, buy more rubber, pay a worker to weld it together, pay to ship it.
The cost of making the product scales linearly with the sales of the product.
Right. Every new sale comes with heavy new costs. But in pure software, the absolute biggest cost is just paying the engineers to build the underlying code in the first place.
Right, building the Amagi platform.
That is a massive but fixed cost. You have to pay those engineers their salaries whether you have one single customer or 1 million customers using the platform.
Okay, I see where this is going.
But once that core software machine is built and running in the cloud, adding one brand new TV channel to the platform costs Amagi almost nothing in terms of extra expenses.
Because it's just duplicating code. It's virtually zero marginal cost.
Exactly. So for years, Amagi's total costs were artificially high because they were building the massive machine.
But now,
Now the machine is built. It's running. Every single new dollar of subscription revenue they bring in doesn't need to be spent on steel or rubber or even new developers. It drops almost straight down to the bottom line as pure profit.
so hitting that 37 number is a massive signal.
It is the inflection point. It means they have crossed the threshold where their profit margins are about to just explode upwards as they scale.
And looking at their current balance sheet, they aren't exactly desperate for cash to survive, are they?
Not at all. They are sitting on over 800 crore in cash reserves, and they are nearly debt-free.
That is a serious war chest for a tech company.
It gives them total optionality. It means they can survive a sudden macroeconomic downturn, or they can go out and aggressively acquire smaller competitors.
Or just invest heavily in new AI research without having to go beg venture capitalists or banks for high-interest loans.
Exactly. They control their own destiny right now.
Okay, so just to summarize where we are, they are profitable, they are growing 30% a year, they are cash rich, and they power almost half of the top media giants.
It sounds like a slam dunk.
It does. But I have to play devil's advocate here.
Please do.
Why is their position actually secure? Why can't someone else just do this? At the end of the day, it's just software on the internet. Why doesn't a smart new startup just come along and say, hey, we can do cloud playout for half the price? What is Amagi's actual moat?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. And the answer isn't just that they write better code than anyone else.
What is it then?
It lies in the three-sided marketplace we touched on earlier.
Okay, remind me. Content, distributors, advertisers.
Right. Think about the massive flywheel effect they have built up. Amagi currently has over 400 premium content brands on their platform.
A huge library of channels.
Because they hold all that content, the major distributors' platforms like Samsung TV Plus, Roku, Vizio, they desperately want to work with Amagi because it's efficient. If you are Samsung, you don't want to sign individual technical integration deals with 500 different tiny startups just to fill out your channel guide.
That would be an administrative nightmare.
Exactly. You want to make one single phone call to Amagi and instantly get access to 400 channels that are already perfectly formatted for your TVs.
Okay, so the distributors strongly prefer the biggest player.
Right. And because Amagi is hardwired into all those massive distributors, if you are a brand new content owner,
You essentially have to work with Amagi.
you have no choice if you want scale. You can't afford to go with some cheaper, unproven startup if that startup doesn't already have the pre-built delivery pipelines into Samsung and LG.
And then the third side of the market, the advertisers, they naturally flock to wherever the biggest audience of eyeballs is sitting.
It creates a massive gravity well. Content brings distribution. Distribution brings viewers. Viewers bring advertisers, which brings more content. It becomes an incredibly sticky ecosystem.
And once you're inside that ecosystem, we have to talk about switching costs.
Oh, the switching costs in this industry are astronomical.
Right. If I am a client, once I'm in, how painful is it to actually leave?
Extremely painful. Let's say you are NBC Universal or a massive global sports league.
Okay.
You have spent a year integrating your entire digital workflow deeply into Amagi's cloud. Your entire historical video archive, your live ad sales CRM, your daily scheduling software, your data analytics dashboards.
It's totally embedded in the company's daily operations.
Are you really going to rip all of that incredibly complex plumbing out, risking going off the air entirely just to save a few pennies per hour with a new competitor?
Absolutely not. It's operational suicide. The risk of even 1 hour of downtime during a live game isn't worth the cost savings.
Precisely. High switching costs are a beautiful thing for a SaaS business. They lock the revenue in.
But there is one more distinct layer to their moat that the outline highlights. We need to dig into it. AI. Specifically, Amagi Intelligence.
Yes.
Now look, we hear AI thrown around by literally every tech company these days. Every press release mentions AI.
It's the ultimate buzzword right now.
Is it actually real here? Or is it just marketing fluff?
No, it is very real, and more importantly, it is solving incredibly boring but highly expensive operational problems.
Okay, let's talk about intelligent content preparation.
Yeah.
Give me a highly concrete example of how their AI actually saves a company money.
Okay, let's go back to our sitcom example. Imagine you are a major content owner. You have a massive vault of classic network sitcoms from the 1990s.
Like Seinfeld or Friends.
Exactly. You want to launch an all-90s fast channel.
Great idea.
But the original episodes in your vault are 22 minutes long because that was the broadcast standard 30 years ago.
Right.
But the modern fast channel programming grid slot requires the content block to be exactly 21 minutes and 30 seconds to properly fit the modern, heavier ad load.
Ah, so you have to physically cut 30 seconds out of every single episode.
Yes. In the old days, even just 5 years ago, a human video editor had to sit in an editing bay, physically watch the episode, and manually find 30 seconds of non-essential footage to cut.
Like trimming a long pause after a joke or shortening the opening credits sequence.
Exactly. That takes significant time and human labor costs.
And it absolutely does not scale if you have an archive of 5,000 episodes to process.
It would take years and cost a fortune. But Amagi's AI can analyze the raw video file entirely on its own.
And it knows what to cut.
It uses computer vision and audio analysis. It can find the scenes where there's extended silence. It can accurately identify the exact frames of the intro and outro credits.
That's wild.
It gets better. It can even utilize intelligent time compression.
What does that mean?
It means the AI can literally speed up the playback of the video by, say, 2%, but only during scenes where there is absolutely no active dialogue.
So the viewer doesn't even notice the pitch shift in the voices.
You have absolutely no idea it even happened. It mathematically fits the content to the required ad slot totally automatically in seconds for a fraction of a cent.
That is an incredible application of AI. It's not generating fake video. It's just doing the grueling operational labor.
Exactly. Or look at automated playout. Their AI actively decides when to dynamically play an ad to maximize the client's revenue.
How did it know?
It analyzes millions of hours of historical viewing data. It knows, for example, that viewers watching an action movie on a Tuesday night on a specific platform tend to click away and drop off after exactly 15 minutes.
So what does the AI do?
It dynamically front-loads the most expensive, high-value ads into the first 10 minutes of the stream, specifically to capture that viewer's impression before they inevitably leave.
That is real-time algorithmic optimization that a human control room operator simply cannot execute.
They couldn't react fast enough. So Amagi's moat is this incredibly powerful combination of network effects, everyone is already connected to their platform, and this high-tech AI layer that simply makes running a channel cheaper and more efficient than doing it yourself.
They are digging a very deep, very wide trench around their castle.
They are.
However, no castle is entirely invincible.
No business is immune to risk.
We absolutely need to talk about the threats. If I am Bhaskar Subramanian, the CEO of Amagi, what is the stuff that actively keeps me up at night?
Our outline identifies 3 core threats to the business, and the first one is massive. We call it the hyperscaler threat.
Hyperscalers. By that you mean the landlords of the internet itself.
Yeah.
Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure.
Exactly. Remember the fundamental premise of Amagi. They run their software entirely on the cloud.
Right.
But they do not actually own the physical data centers. They rent massive amounts of compute power and storage from AWS and Google.
So Amagi is essentially building a highly profitable mansion on land owned by a massive, unpredictable landlord who also happens to be a potential competitor.
Precisely. Look at Amazon. Amazon owns Prime Video. They own Twitch. They also have a massive internal division called AWS Elemental, which literally specializes in video processing for the cloud.
Oh.
What happens if an executive at Amazon looks at Amagi's explosive growth and says, hey, this fast channel infrastructure business looks highly profitable.
Right. Let's just build these specific playout and ad insertion tools ourselves.
And, more dangerously, What if Amazon just bundles those newly built tools into standard AWS subscriptions for free, just to drive more baseline cloud usage?
That is a terrifying threat. It's classic platform risk. In the tech world, they call it getting Sherlocked.
Exactly. Like when Apple sees a really popular third-party flashlight app on the iPhone and they just build a flashlight directly into the iOS operating system, instantly killing the app business overnight.
Amagi has to stay so far ahead technologically and so deeply specialized in the weird, specific needs of the media industry that an Amazon or a Google prefers to just partner with them rather than try to crush them.
It's a delicate dance, but it is always a looming shadow over any software company built on someone else's cloud.
Okay, what is the second major risk?
Privacy and regulation. This directly hits the cash register pillar we talked about.
The ADS-PL US monetization.
Right. We discussed how incredibly targeted and valuable those programmatic ads are, but that targeting relies entirely on vast amounts of user data.
It relies on knowing exactly who is sitting on the couch watching the screen.
Yes, but the entire world is getting drastically stricter about data privacy. You have GDPR in Europe, you have constant changes to cookie tracking and privacy laws in the US.
Right. Apple has basically killed ad tracking on the iPhone with their privacy updates.
Exactly. If privacy regulations get so strict that Amagi can no longer effectively track user behavior or identify households,
You get what the ad industry calls signal loss.
the data goes completely dark. If a luxury car advertiser has absolutely no idea who they are actually targeting, they refuse to pay a premium price for the ad slot.
They just revert back to the old cheap spray and pray method.
Right, so the overall value of the ad inventory drops off a cliff.
And since Amagi takes a direct percentage cut of that ad revenue,
Their own revenue drops significantly too. They are highly exposed to the global regulatory climate of the digital advertising industry.
that makes a lot of sense. And what is the third major risk factor?
Market saturation and competition specifically from below.
From below, like cheaper options.
Yes. Amagi absolutely dominates the premium top tier right now. The top 50 global companies. The NBCs, the Foxes, the massive sports leagues.
But there is a huge mid-market out there.
Massive. Small independent streamers, big YouTubers trying to launch their own 247 linear channels, niche lifestyle brands.
And I assume Amagi's enterprise-grade platform is probably overkill and vastly too expensive for a YouTuber.
Right now, yes, it generally is. And this leaves the back door wide open for what we call a low-end disruptor.
A scrappy new startup.
A startup that comes along and offers a perfectly good enough cloud playout solution for a tiny fraction of Amagi's price.
If the underlying cloud video technology becomes commoditized and cheap enough to replicate, Amagi could easily get squeezed from the bottom up.
It is the absolute classic innovator's dilemma. A company gets so incredibly good at serving the high-margin, demanding top end of the market that they completely ignore the low end, leaving it totally vulnerable to disruption.
Right, they abandon the base.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears and look to the future. Who is actually steering the ship through these complicated waters?
The captain of the ship is Bhaskar Subramanian, the CEO and one of the original co-founders,
And he has been at the helm for over 18 years.
which is an absolute eternity in the tech startup world.
It really is. Usually by this late stage, when a company is pre-IPO or generating hundreds of millions in revenue, the board swaps the visionary founder out for a more traditional corporate professional CEO.
True. But Bhaskar is still deeply involved and leading the charge. And what is most interesting to analysts is the remarkably high founder ownership,
The promoters hold around 14 to 15% of the entire company.
which is very significant for a company of this immense maturity and valuation.
It means they have massive skin in the game.
It means their personal generational wealth is inextricably tied to the long-term success of the business. They aren't just hired gun executives looking to boost the quarterly numbers for a cash bonus.
They are playing the very long game.
Yes, they are thinking in decades, not quarters.
So where does that long game actually take them? What is the next vector for growth? Because they have pretty thoroughly conquered the European markets. I think the notes say 90% of their revenue comes from those two regions alone.
Yes, the US and Europe were the early adopters, so the most obvious vector is pure geography.
Expanding map.
Right.
Yeah.
The US and Europe are mature markets for cloud transition. But think about the rest of the world. Think about Latin America. Think about the massive markets in Asia.
Think about India itself. Massive populations, huge, ravenous media consumption habits.
But importantly, a lot of their broadcast infrastructure in those regions is still largely stuck in the heavy iron era. They are just now starting the exact same cloud transition that the US began 5 to 10 years ago.
So Amagi has this massive opportunity to take the exact playbook they perfected in America and just apply it to Brazil, to Indonesia, to India.
It represents an incredibly long, very lucrative runway for future geographic growth.
And beyond just expanding geographically, there's the goal of deepening the actual tech stack itself.
Yes, moving beyond just delivery. Right now, they are famous for getting the video file from point A to point B.
But they want to do more.
They want to use AI to manage the entire end-to-end lifecycle of video. We are talking about automated content creation, hyper-deep audience analytics, totally automated dynamic scheduling.
They basically want to become the fundamental operating system for all video on the internet.
Exactly. They want to be the Windows of television. If you do anything with video, you do it inside Amagi.
Now, one big philosophical question I want to ask before we wrap this up.
Go for it.
Is there any realistic chance that this entire cloud shift is just a fad?
A fad.
Yeah. Could the industry, in 5 years, look at cloud costs and decide, actually, renting AWS servers is too expensive, the cloud is less reliable than we thought, let's go back to building physical master control rooms and renting satellites?
Absolutely not. And that is the absolute key takeaway for anyone analyzing this industry.
So it's one-way street.
Yes. This is a fundamental structural shift. It is not cyclical. It's not like the fashion industry where skinny jeans come in and out of style every decade.
Right.
It's like the fundamental shift from horse-drawn carriages to automobiles.
Or the shift from physical film to digital cameras in Hollywood.
Exactly. We aren't ever going back to developing physical film strips in a chemical darkroom. The underlying economics of the cloud, the infinite scalability, the massive cost savings, the deep data collection, they are simply too overwhelming to ignore.
The heavy iron is rusting in the basement and is never coming back online.
The old way is dead. It's just a matter of how fast the stragglers migrate.
Okay, so bringing this all together for our final synthesis. If we summarize the overarching Amagi thesis for the listener, what are we really looking at here?
We're looking at the specific software layer that literally turned television into just another type of video on the internet.
They built the bridge.
They did. They are structurally profitable, they are growing fast, and they are incredibly deeply entrenched with the absolute biggest players in Hollywood, news, and live sports.
It truly is the ultimate infrastructure play.
It is. In this whole wild streaming gold rush over the last decade, every major media company has been desperately trying to find the next massive hit show.
Trying to make the next Squid Game or the next Stranger Things or House of the Dragon.
Which is incredibly financially risky. Most television shows fail.
Almost all of them fail.
But Amagi fundamentally doesn't care which specific show wins the ratings war. They just provide the plumbing for all of them. As long as humans are staring at a screen streaming something anything, Amagi gets paid their fraction of a cent.
That is a remarkably resilient position to be in.
It's the best place in the ecosystem.
Now, before we fully sign off today, I really want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to chew on. A bit of a provocation based on exactly where this incredible tech is heading next.
Oh, I like a good provocation. Let's hear it.
Okay, so today we talked endlessly about fast channels, these linear 247 playlists of niche content.
Right, the competitive BBQ channel.
Exactly. And we talked about Amagi's AI that can instantly automate the scheduling and perfectly insert programmatic ads specifically targeted for you sitting in your specific living room.
Yes, the server-side targeting.
As this specific technology gets faster, cheaper, and infinitely more intelligent, are we rapidly moving toward a future where the very concept of a TV channel doesn't actually exist at all?
Okay, what do you mean by that?
I mean, right now, a traditional channel, even a fast channel, is essentially a fixed playlist. It is curated by a human editor, or maybe a basic algorithm, to appeal to a generally large group of people.
Right. The Baywatch channel is designed for the thousands of people who collectively enjoy Baywatch.
Exactly. But if the marginal cost of creating and spinning up a brand new broadcast-grade channel drops literally to zero,
which Amagi is proving it can.
and the AI gets incredibly smart at understanding exactly what you want to watch based on your viewing history, your browser data, your mood.
Where does that lead?
Will the ultimate channel of 2030 just be a linear, endless playlist? generated dynamically in real time, exclusively for me.
A channel of one.
Yes, a channel of one. I flop on the couch. I turn on my smart TV. The TV knows I personally love 90s action movies. It knows my wife likes short architectural digest clips. It knows we both want local weather updates every hour on the hour.
And it just seamlessly weaves those together.
It instantly generates a flawless broadcast quality linear stream, complete with station IDs, perfectly timed transitions, and ads tailored to my exact income bracket.
Wow.
It feels exactly like traditional TV. You lean back and watch. But nobody else on the entire planet is watching that exact same channel.
It's a fascinating concept because the entire history of this medium has been defined by the word broadcast.
Casting broadly to the masses.
Right, sending the exact same signal to millions of passive receivers. But what you were describing means the era of the broadcast might actually be coming to an end.
Replaced by the era of the narrowcast.
A unique, algorithmically perfect stream for every single pair of eyes on Earth.
And Amagi is exactly the company currently building the vast, invisible cloud engine that would actually make that sci-fi concept technologically and economically possible.
They handle the disparate video files, they execute the targeted ad auctions in milliseconds, they stitch the stream together flawlessly. They are the engine.
It is a totally fascinating, maybe slightly dystopian, but honestly incredibly likely future for media.
It is. And given how fast they're deploying this AI, it is probably a lot closer than any of us think.
It really is. It might already be quietly starting on a server right now.
I wouldn't bet against it.
So the very next time you click that live TV tile on your smart TV grid, and you just mindlessly settle in for a marathon of some random show you haven't thought about in 10 years.
Take a second to really appreciate the insanely complex, invisible digital engine making it happen.
Exactly. It's not magic. It's Amagi.
It's just millions of lines of code running in the cloud.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.